And here we are again for, I guess, the last videos talking about tanks specifically. After this, we're just gonna do some more, I don't know, map analysis and tactic talk and creating setups and so on. Don't worry, this isn't over. But let's talk a bit about, actually no, there's two more to do. There's autoloaders and there's TDs. And I want to talk about TDs this time. For once, the Germans are actually really useful. The Guerilla, I think in ESL, the Guerilla is probably the most used TD by far. In Clan Wars, maybe even also so. You can definitely take a Guerilla along in skirmishes especially if you get a bit lucky with the maps, it can really pay off. It's just extremely fast and has an extremely good gun and like okay-ish camo, but like the high speed and also small size and decent gun depression and having a turret and generally just that extremely good gun make this tank, I don't know, very very viable for Clan Wars and ESL and skirmishes. But you definitely don't want to start spamming it. Yeah, it's a tank you want, I don't know, normally one or two, maybe in the rarest circumstances, like a camper main Ofka or something, you might want three or something. But that's kind of it. Jack Panthers are basically never used because basically for everything except Alpha, the E3 is just better. I mean, I guess the Jack Panther is like a tiny bit smaller. Like, I don't know, I do see the tiniest of roles for like, this kind of one situation where you want that one tank that does 1000 Alpha and has hold down armor. And I have used Jack Panthers before in Clan Wars, but it's like the most rare thing ever. Definitely like not a very good tank. 26A used to be great, it's just trash. It's that simple. Like it used to kind of still have a role because the Gritter didn't exist and stuff like that. But nowadays, I don't know, just go get a Gritter. If you really want like retarded pen and retarded alpha, you just get a Jack Panther. 263 is lacking in one thing, which is kind of a gold pen with 330 APCR, which is nice, but it's just like that an E3 gets 375, which is just completely, stupidly high. But it still has extremely high DPM, it's fast, it's got some armor. It has a role both just as a like camping TD as a sniper, and it can also, I like to use it from time to time to just kind of like rush, be it mediums or heavies, and like with support, would have like 2-3, 2-6-3 in the group of rushing things because it has like high DPM and it will bounce some shots and just kind of keeps shooting. It's not an autoloader, but it's not like got the crappy DPM of an E5. And it's not quite got the crappy armor of like a 140 or a Pacha. So definitely a worse using, but it's definitely a very limited tank because of the very very bad gun depression, elevation and sideways like angles. So definitely not the, kind of quick pony. The E3 is extremely good. We already talked about a bit in heavies, right? E3 as like locking down corridors, just shutting down a corridor, shutting down like 8 line on Himmelsdorf or whatever. Being hold down, it's extremely good at that. But it's also weirdly enough one of the best snipers because it's got that ridiculously high pen. Actually decent gun stats, right? It's better gun than the E4 in accuracy and so on. Or actually it's not. Maybe it's not, but at least in DPM it is. And like I said, you have both on the E3 and the E4 375 APCR. Yeah, it is APCR, which is just completely retarded and allows you to penetrate everything. So the E3 is actually pretty good. And the E4, again, it just doesn't have armor, but in those rare situations where you just want like a small tank with high alpha and 375 pen for whatever reason, basically it's gonna be for like snap shooting heavies, right? Shooting in the side of heavies and stuff like that. The E4 is definitely viable. But it's very limited, while the E3 is also definitely very limited by its size, but you can see it like as a sniper on Prokhorovka and as a brawler in Himmelsdorf. For pure sniping, the E4 just isn't worth it, and the 50p is just better. Just stay away from it, it's just bad. Both the 183 and the FE405 actually, also they get made fun of it, are used from time to time in both Clan Wars and ESL skirmishes, I guess less so, but you also see it. It's definitely good as role because if you get lucky and you manage to one-shot a Batchat, which is basically what you're kind of counting on, or one-shot a medium, or at least pen a heavy and then do a bit more damage, basically really hoping to one-shot a Batchat or an early full knife medium, you kind of pay for yourself already, and then you just have like a decent tank with high alpha. Oh, it's decent. They're basically trash with high alpha, although the 183 has some turret armor nowadays. But yeah, the insane hash alpha does make them kind of viable in some circumstances. Doesn't have TDs, doesn't have TDs, doesn't have TDs. Has TDs, but I don't really know much about this tank, I'll be completely honest. From what I see till now, it's like good, but not game breaking. The pen looks, let me actually see that hate or APCR is called. It's actually APCR. But like the gun is definitely very nice on this, and it's also fast. And the armor isn't bad, but then again the armor isn't great, and like, I don't know, nothing is like super great, right? Like kind of shooting at 300 alpha is just a bit low at tier 10 when you can be shooting at 750 with a Gorilla. Which makes a huge difference, just even if the DPM is kind of the same or probably even better for this tank in the end. It's really important that you tend to just have this kind of damage to take out enemy guns when they peak. So if you have like a Gorilla and 250Bs, whatever peaks just dies instantly. Which wouldn't be the case with like an STRV and 250Bs or 2 STRVs or something. Right. So yeah, that's kind of that. I hope this kind of makes sense. I hope I'm not going through this too fast. I hope not going through this too slowly. But I don't want to make this boring, but I do want to go through the at least important tanks. Tell me if you enjoyed it. If you do, remember to like, comment, and share. And see you next time. Bye bye, King Saber.